Hi folks, before I spend time working on a full moon in Cancer video, the full moon is in Cancer tomorrow in less than 24 hours time, and I will be putting out a video before the full moon actually occurs. I want to do a quick video on the Mercury retrograde cycle that began a couple of days ago, specifically on February. Now that right there is a Mercury retrograde moment. On January the 14th to February the 4th, Mercury has gone retrograde in the sign of Aquarius on January the 14th. And follow me with this. So it is retrograde in the sign of Aquarius on the 14th. I actually wrote down all these dates. On the 13th, my God, this is the thing about Mercury retrograde. I have three broad areas to talk about, and one of them is just these verbal glitches. You will find yourself in the middle of verbal and mental glitches, and I'll talk more about those in a second. So, January the 14th, once and for all. Third time is a charm with Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde in Aquarius. On January the 23rd, right after the Sun enters Aquarius, Mercury and the Sun conjunct. An important date with the Mercury retrograde cycle, the start of a new Mercury cycle, this time in Aquarius. So between a retrograde Mercury-Sun conjunction on the 23rd of January and the next retrograde Sun conjunction with Mercury, Mercury is going to be preoccupied by our communications, our mental activity, our communicative and cognitive activity is going to be preoccupied by where the sign of Aquarius sits in your chart, what house it occupies, and what that house stands for. Okay? So whatever house in which this retrograde Mercury is going to conjunct the Sun is occurring for you from a communication perspective, from a cognition perspective. You're going to be thinking about it, talking about it, discussing it, having agreements, contracts. The focus is going to be on the house occupied by Aquarius in your chart from a Mercury perspective for the next 3 months or so. Okay. Retrograde Mercury conjuncts the Sun on January the 23rd. Then, on January the 26th, it backs into Capricorn, where Venus is already retrograde. And on January the 30th, it conjuncts Pluto. Another important date. Pluto is the planet of the hour. The retrograde Venus conjuncts Pluto 3 times. Mercury conjuncts Pluto 3 times through this process. The full moon tomorrow is opposite Pluto. And as we head into March, both Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto on the same day, and then a few days afterwards enter Aquarius together. So where's Capricorn in your chart? What house does it occupy? What does that house stand for? Transformation is occurring there. And I mean transformation in big, bold, capital letters. And I would lean into that transformation. Some of this is out of your control. And with this Mercury retrograde cycle, is all about things feeling like they're out of our control. Mercury, for the second time, this time retrograde, conjuncts Pluto on January the 30th. On February the 4th, Mercury goes direct. On February the 11th, it conjuncts Pluto again. And on February the 14th, it is back in Aquarius, okay? So the dates that are important here, January the 23rd, it conjuncts the Sun. However we've been feeling on January the 14th and February the 4th, the days when Mercury actually goes retrograde or direct, the gnarliness will be felt also when Mercury conjuncts the Sun, because Mercury will be conjunct. It will lose its powers. It will cleanse itself in the rays of the Sun, in the rays of the truth on a soul level. For each of us, it will reset, and it will take on its task for the next few months of communication and cognition related activities related to the house where Aquarius sits in your chart. But the work that Pluto wants done in the sign of Capricorn and where that sits in your chart and what house that occupies and what that house stands for, Mercury retrogrades into Capricorn on the 26th, but more importantly, conjuncts Pluto on the 30th, goes direct on the 4th, conjuncts Pluto again on February the 11th, and then February the 14th is back in Aquarius. Venus and Mars conjunct in Capricorn on February the 16th. Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto on March the 3rd, and on March the 6th, they enter Aquarius together. I've been referring to this birth canal that we're in, where there are adjustments that need to be made. The old needs to be shed, the new needs to be embraced. The new that was set up with the November 19th eclipse, September 19th to November 19th, cannot be here yet. You cannot fully enter into this space without going through this birth canal and going through the transformations that Pluto wants you to make. Okay? With this Mercury retrograde cycle, it really now feels like we're right smack dab in the middle of this birth canal, and it really feels like a spin cycle to me. First and foremost, this is the second thing I wanted to talk about, the first being the verbal slips. All typical Mercury retrograde things apply. Lost baggage, confusion over tickets, confusion over dates, confusion over details, travel, communication, things coming back from the past, crossed wires, stress, deadlines, delays, but also just feeling like you yourself might be spinning. Partly it is not just verbal glitches, but mental glitches. Oh, I knew that place was closed today, but then why did I still go there and spend 45 minutes getting, that kind of stuff. Like, I know this, but then why am I acting like I don't know this? And to quote Stephen Sondheim, not going left, not going right, that kind of feeling of like, I don't know what to do, mysterious delays, technological delays, all of that holds true, particularly around the dates of January the 14th, February the 4th, and also when Mercury conjuncts the Sun, January the 23rd, during this retrograde process. Now, the most important thing in this video that I want to stress is that with Venus retrograde currently till January the 31st, and this Mercury retrograde process really being cocooned by this Venus retrograde process, because Venus goes direct on January the 29th, and then Mercury goes direct on February the 4th. And with these two planets, as we reevaluate and get a sense of a new set of financial and relationship priorities that will be clear by February, we will also recognate, that's not a word, but rethink try to make no decision unless you have Mercury retrograde in your chart, in which case go for it, be decisive. If you don't have Mercury retrograde in your birth chart, try to be in a place you're going to be called upon to act. There are things that you're going to have to do, especially with Pluto's involvement in the conjunctions. You're going to feel like in certain cases you're going to be playing a certain amount of chess with certain people. There's going to be power dynamics at play. There might be, when this kind of transformation occurs, the pieces are moving. And so you have to certainly at the very least respond. In certain cases, you're also an actor in some of these cases, but you will find that the change is occurring in such a way that you will have to respond. In certain cases, you may become aware of a certain amount of power dynamic, or who gets there first, or who says what first, or who prevents someone from doing something first, or that kind of, there might be a certain amount of that going on. Emotional games, mind games, mental games, a certain amount of chess playing. And some of the chess playing can be healthy if it is coming from a place of you recognizing who you're wrangling with and how it is and where it is that you're planning to set your boundaries. With the Mercury retrograde, a reassessment of past issues, past activities, and it's really important to harken back to 2021 because Mercury is retrograde in Aquarius, and Mercury was not able to conjunct Saturn before it went retrograde. And 2021 becomes important because we have the Saturn-Uranus square, Saturn being in Aquarius. And as a reminder, Uranus and the liberation it's trying to create in the part of the chart where Taurus sits for you and the house it occupies and what that house stands for, Uranus will not be able to do it easily until Saturn does its job in Aquarius. The squares are kind of a lock there. And so what are the lessons that need to be learned where Aquarius sits in your chart and what house it occupies and what that house stands for? And How are the ways in which Saturn is demanding, teaching you not to fall into what I have been calling the path of least resistance, behaviors and patterns that have been in place for about 28 years, that Saturn now wants to say, this is not working for you, and this is not working for you, this is where, and you know it because it doesn't feel right, and yet you're continuing to do it. So let's do the Saturn thing, and let's train you to not be acting in ways that are against you, that are causes of self-undoing in the part of the chart where Aquarius sits. And with this Mercury retrograde, when we talk about it hearkening to the past, it may put a spotlight onto issues or fears or concerns or things from the past that you've been sort of mulling over or reconsidering or spinning over, to say, here, let's enter this pool again, so that as we head into February and March, and remember, as we come through this birth canal, you will have more clarity as you head into February and March. February 7th, I'm telling everyone, I say that only because February the 4th, Mercury goes direct, and let's just give Mercury 2 or 3 days to wreak some more havoc, before it really starts to move forward. As it is, it's going to conjunct Pluto again on February the 11th and then move into Aquarius on the February the 14th. So it has plenty going on. And with Venus direct, there's the conjunctions with Mars, and Venus and Mars entering into Aquarius on March the 6th. Plenty going on with forward movement there too. So in the middle of the birth canal, and with the Mercury retrograde in the middle of the most intense period of the birth canal, this is where the pieces are going to be flying, and change is going to be occurring, and different parties are going to be working in different ways, and one part of you is going to need to respond to try and shape the change in a direction that you wanted to go, and one part of you is going to need to be very alert and introverted and in possession of yourself, so that you can observe where the changes are going, and as you head into February, be clear about how you're going to act and where you're going to take things. Okay, so I refer to the spirit as a spin cycle. I think it would be fair to refer to it, it's going to feel a little chaos. We can refer to it as chaos, the relationship between chaos and transformation, a whole other video, and we won't go into it, but I'll just leave you with that. And whether it is assessing past areas or past issues that come up again in your psyche for reconsideration or review, that have been brewing for the past couple of years, that you really feel like this is where boundaries need to be drawn, it's coming up for me again, but also, and that's in the Aquarius part of your chart, but also in the Capricorn part of your chart, what is transforming there, my friends? What is transforming there? And this Mercury retrograde, along with this Venus retrograde, are trying to aid that transformation. And then Mars, and Venus together, after January the 24th, Mars enters Capricorn. And so Mars starts to play a role in this transformation as well. So you're in the middle of the spin cycle, and things are going to feel chaotic, and they're moving, and things are happening, and certain things are predictable, and you are in the driver's seat, and you're enjoying it, and you're moving forward, and you're moving into the portal, but then other things are now starting to fall apart because you're moving into the portal. And you might find yourself surprised at what this transformation looks like, and the fact that the transformation is now occurring faster than you thought. And so the spin occurs. Certain things you'll be able to manage, control, and play chess, and certain things Pluto is just going to tear down. Okay, with Mercury and Venus and Mars in the mix, the personal planets in the mix. So important to consider where we're at right now as we go into the Cancer full moon, and more on that in the next video. But I wanted to leave you with this. If you found it useful, share, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell icon to be notified whenever you get new videos, whenever I do new videos. Like, comment, gives more circulation on YouTube, and I will leave it at that. Okay, the Cancer full moon video will follow. Thanks.